Welcome everybody. Thanks for coming to our dietary management session. Firstly, just a little introduction of who we are. We're not a married couple, we are sisters. Lisa started with Gretton Homes a little bit before I did, and I followed in Big Sister's footsteps. So we've worked with people with Prader-Willi syndrome for over 20 years in residential settings, but we're now moving forward into more supported living environments for people with Prader-Willi syndrome. But of course we're having issues around the supported living model due to access to food and things like that. So of course we still need to work very closely with the staff that work with our people to make sure that they've got this information and they know how to manage diets and things like that. Okay, so firstly, just a show of hands, who actually works with people with Prader-Willi syndrome? Okay, have we got any parents? Woo, lots and lots of lovely parents. Okay, hopefully we can sort of cover, you know, about how we do things in care services, but also, you know, how it is for parents as well, because you obviously need to manage food intake as well for your children, etc. Okay, so we both manage services. My sister still does. I'm now just moving into being a specialist trainer around Prader-Willi syndrome. I've done awareness sessions for many years now. So we're going to get started. We're going to talk a bit. We've got a few little bits and bobs that Lisa's going to run through little games and things. So one of our main concerns with people with PWS is food-related stress. Okay. People with Prader-Willi syndrome, we find that management of behaviour can become more of a struggle if we don't have food security and things like that in place, and we'll run through that. So, who here has ever been on a diet? We all have, yeah? We all know what a struggle it is. Did you feel any food-related stress while you were dieting?
Come on.
Yeah. You know, because it's not easy, is it? It's not easy to suddenly cut down on the amount of food that you're eating.
So how did you feel?
Yeah, what caused the stress
How
for
did it
you?
make you feel?
It's when somebody tells you can't have that.
Yeah.
You want even
want it
more.
more.
You wanted
That's
And you
it.
try and fill that void with other
Yeah.
things, but actually until you've had the item you
Yeah.
want, you're just not hitting the mark.
That's it, yeah.
Even guilt with like having children. Like I've got 2 children. You know, if they leave something, you go, oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
should have bet that. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
definitely. Yeah, so the kind of things that we'll all struggle with. Now, we had a little bit of a technical hitch earlier, so I want to show you this.
Pudding. This is a melt-in-the-middle Belgian chocolate pudding served with extra thick channel and cream. And 4 puddings are yours, absolutely free, when you spend £35 on food and drink at M&S until Saturday.
I hope you give
This
us
isn't
some
just
fun.
food, this is M&S.
And again, you know, we're all subject to those adverts on the TV.
Yeah.
We're all subject to those, especially around Christmas time. Okay.
And it's not just on the TV, is it? It's where we go.
Yeah.
Social places that we go to the cinema. You know, how many times do we go past that? Especially if you're on a diet, you go past the pick and mix, you go past the Ben and Jerry's, the smells that you can have makes us stressed.
Okay, because food is everywhere. Yeah, there's no avoiding it. It's not. We know that people talk about people with PWS having this addiction to food. Yeah, now every other addiction you can have, you can live without, can't you? Alcohol, drugs, all those things you can live without. We can't live without food, so it makes it extremely difficult for people with the syndrome to try and manage this, and it can cause constant stress for them. So, the ways that we reduce food-related stress is having set menus, yeah? It's very important that they know what they're eating, when they're eating it, how much of it is going to be, and it's going to be a consistent process. We plan for events. You know, if we're going out of the norm and we're having a day out at the seaside or something like that, it's important that we cover the food issues first. Okay, we've had occasions where people with the syndrome have maybe refused to attend activities that we would think that they would love, and we've realised it's because we haven't told them what they will be eating that day, okay? Get that cleared out first, yeah? That's their main focus. That must be our main focus. So any changes, you know, trips to restaurants as well can be extremely difficult and challenging for somebody with Prader-Willi syndrome. One of the things that we do, Lisa,
Yeah,
is...
one of the things we do is when people are going to occasions like going to a restaurant, we will find out what is on the menu. Yeah, it's all available on the internet and, you know, websites and stuff now. Plan, sit with them, spend the time with them, allow them to process what the information is that is on that menu, and then give them guidance on what is the better choices. Yeah, because we know if they're going out, we're going to expect they're going to have a few more calories than normal. You know, we all do when we go out, don't we? But we can still give them the guidance on the better choices. Yep. And then they know if they're sitting in a restaurant with that menu in front of them, it's going to be too much for them. Yeah. So planning for things like that, planning for events, family occasions maybe, where there's going to be a buffet. Yeah. If you can try and find out what the things are on the buffet, sit down with them, give them guidance on what they can have. Yeah. And that may be just going with them up to the buffet and giving them that guidance there as well. Yeah.
And it might be that sometimes with menus, especially these pub menus, I mean, how many choices have you got? It's ridiculous, isn't it? Sometimes too much choice is too much for the person. You know, occasionally we would take maybe 5 dishes from that menu and then they just choose from those. I mean, I've been in situations with people in restaurants where, you know, they're trying to figure out what they want to eat and they're basically watching the waiters coming past because they're looking to see how big the meal is. Because you know as well as I do, it is quantity over quality, isn't it? You know, they want the most that they can get. So if you can sort all that out before you leave your home or you leave your service, if there's any issues and that, they can be aired out in the service. It's all about planning around food. And then obviously limited access to food storage areas. It must be absolutely devastating for somebody with Prader-Willi syndrome to be able to see where food is and not be able to access it, okay? So we think it's the best way is to keep any food area locked away so they can't see. The temptation is too much for them. And then you'll see behaviours and you'll think, oh, why are they behaving that way? You know, they won't come out and say, I'm getting stressed and I'm getting anxious because I can see that food. They won't say that because they want to be near that food for the opportunity that they may be able to get hold of it. But the stress will show itself in other ways. So it's really important to keep those things locked away. Some people may have to have limited access to finance. Okay, so those of you that work in care services, we have MCA, mental capacity assessments and deprivation of liberties, and that if we have to deny somebody access to their own money, because obviously if they've got their own money and they're going out and they're spending it on food, they are putting their lives at risk. Okay, so you know, but that's only for some, that's not all. Some people can manage their money and that's fine. Preparing food again can be another real issue for somebody with the syndrome. Right there, Oscar? Yep. And, so again, we need to establish with the individual what they are capable of doing. We don't want to restrict people when they're quite capable of doing certain things. So it's knowing the individual, knowing your child, us as staff, knowing the people that we work with to see whether they would be comfortable in food preparation as well. So again, you may have somebody that finds it difficult to stick to portion sizes when they're preparing their own food, and they want more and more and more, and that can turn into a behaviour incident. So knowing your person.
Yeah, and with the preparing the food, it's also the things that they can lick. You know, lick the knife that's just been used to butter the bread, or you know, or preparing something. It's the fingers in the bowl and things like that, because all of those can cause added calories.
Yeah. Okay. And then the main thing is consistency. Okay. It's really, really important that whoever prepares food for the person with PWS, they follow a consistent pattern. So, for example, Lisa's going to talk us through some areas around consistency and how it can affect an individual. Okay, are we on that point, Lisa?
No, we're doing more.
Okay, I'm still going.
Still
Still going.
I'm not yet.
So we're going to hit consistency in that in a moment with some of the ideas that Lisa has. So why is this important? Have any of you heard of the food security situation? Yeah, it came from the Pittsburgh institution over in America, but it's really prominent, really, because having food security, it means they have no doubt that they're eating. Yeah, because it's all sorted out and all organised. They have no hope of getting anything additional, yeah, and so they have no disappointment if they know what they're getting, and it helps that individual to have that emotional security that they very often lose when it comes to food, okay? We need to be clear about how the day is being planned for them and what they will be doing. And we find that when these food strategies are affected, weight and behaviour usually both manage successfully. Okay? So, portion guidelines. Now this is the biggie, because we all eat way more food than what we should eat this day and age. You know, you look back in history, you were lucky to have one meal a day, and you had men doing physical work on that one meal a day. So we all eat more than what we should do. And what we need to do is to keep those portion guidelines consistent, okay? So we use measures, we weigh food, we do all the little tricks of the trade that you can think of so we can implement a consistent approach, okay? So like for families, you know, if you prepare food for your son or daughter, when they go to grandma and granddad's or they go to, are their portion sizes different from what grandma and granddad give, yeah? So again, it's being consistent within the family setting as well. Being aware of the calorific values of food as well is really important. We work with it day in, day out for 20 years. I think I could tell you the calories of anything and that, you know, from all the research I've done over the years. But again, being aware of those calories, being aware of hidden calories in food as well. And that because, you know, these things, cereal bars is my big bugbear, cereal bars. Because they're called cereal bars, people think they're healthy, yeah? 99% fat-free cereal bar. What is holding that cereal bar together? Why is it not a load of crumbs in your palm if it's got no fat in it? It's held together by sugar, yeah? So, you know, look on it, look to see if the sugar is too high, yeah? And hidden preservatives in shelf life foods. If something's in a jar and it's got to stay on the shelf in Morrison's for 3 months, it needs something in it to preserve it. And what do food industry use as preservatives? Sugar and salt. There's 5 tablespoons of sugar in a jar of Dolmio pasta sauce. Yeah. They have just started bringing out no sugar sauces and that now, because I think there was quite a, when that came out in the public domain, everybody was shocked and that, okay? But again, you know, if you're good in the kitchen, prepare your own sauces, you know? Cook up a load of peppers and tomatoes and onions, bake them in an oven, stick them in a blender, use that as your pasta sauce, then you know what's in it, yeah? We understand though it's not always easy for people, especially working parents and things like that, so, okay. Is it you now, Lisa?
No, you're still
I'm
going
still
on.
going,
Still
still
on.
going
I'm
on.
down the bottom.
Oh, bless you.
I'm
still
down
going
the bottom.
on. So, portion management then. If the person is preparing their own meals with staff support, it's important that those portion sizes are consistent. What one person thinks is a standard portion can be very different from another person's view, yeah? And it's quite surprising when you see this, how some people, I mean, you know, we're big eaters, as you can tell. I like mine like that sort of thing, you know, but I understand that when we're working with others, I need to give them less food. It's important to have a record of portion sizes so those meals can be consistent in both content and size. Okay, what you need to be able to do is this meal, this are the portion guidelines, and that's kept so the next member of staff or the next parent or grandparent or family member that goes to make that meal, they know exactly what they're doing. Okay.
And we do find that, especially with our staff teams and the people we support, if we have new members of staff, going back to that food security that Karina was talking about, that will cause some doubt for the people who we're looking after. Are they giving me the right amount of food? Are they following those portion guidelines? Even down to making a drink of options. Are they using the right measurements? It doesn't taste right. It doesn't taste right, Lisa. It does. I was with the person when they made it. So they need that extra support sometimes to just remove those anxieties when we have new staff as well. But I'm just going to sort of talk a little bit about food and portions and a little bit a few things like this. But I'm going to start off with a bit of a higher, lower game, if you're all right. I'm going to be a bit Brucey. Can you all remember the card is playing? No, the
Play your cards right.
Play your cards right.
Right. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So speak up, involve yourself. Okay, so if we start off with calories in 250 mils of skimmed milk. Now, these little measures are my little saviours. So 250 mils is right to that top of milk. So, any idea of how many calories that would be?
200, 190?
No.
120.
66.
50?
No, just go a bit higher than 66.
About 80?
83. 83. Okay. So 250 mils. Now, my sister loves her tea. Yeah. Always got tea with her.
About 20 cups a day.
20 cups a day. So even the intake of tea and coffee for a person with PWS has to be monitored. Yeah. A little bit here for 1 cup. A little bit here for another cup. Another cup. Another cup. Before you know it, you've gone on to 500 mils. So from 83, you've gone on to 100, and I'm no good at maths.
70 odd,
Yeah. And more and more. So we have to consider those factors, in a person's diet. So that was our milk, and that was 83. Okay, so next, calories in 1 ounce of prunes.
Higher or lower?
Higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just show you. Now, this is me. That is 1 ounce of prunes. Yeah. Now, for anybody with PWS, sometimes they do have problems with constipation, don't they? So somebody might say, oh, give them some prunes. That's what our grandma always used to say. If you have any problems, prunes solve it, So that is, it's not much, is it? No. You know, and some people now, they say as well about snacking on dried fruit. I could very easily go through half a bag of that while watching Strictly Come Dancing. So that is, in fact, it's lower.
Oh.
It's 68 calories.
Yeah. Lower than skimmed milk.
Yeah.
Odd, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. Now, your good old teacher's favourite.
Your apple.
A small apple. Calories in a small apple.
96.
Higher or lower than
50.
68?
80, 50.
50?
Higher.
Higher? Yeah. Higher. It is higher.
Yeah.
78.
78.
78.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all know about, you know, fruit.
Which is a 0 points.
Fruit and vegetables.
Yeah.
You know, incorporating them into our diets. It's all good for us. Yeah. And the roughage part of it is good as well. Okay. And then lastly, we've got calories in 1 ounce of cheese. higher or lower?
Higher.
It's about 100 calories.
Yeah.
120. An ounce.
25 grams. Yeah.
Okay.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on the old system. I've been around a long time. Yeah. So
Trigonometric.
yeah. 120, very near. 114. Okay, but this is the bit. I need 3 volunteers. Okay.
She's not going to ask you to do anything horrible.
No,
trust
it's
me.
not. It's not.
No.
What I want 3 volunteers to do is to cut to me an ounce of cheese
By eye.
by eye without being weighed,
Yeah.
and then we're going to weigh it. Okay. So
You first.
yeah. Okay. I need one more
What's on
volunteer.
I know what I'm going to be snacking on the way home. Cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have washed my hands before,
Yeah.
folks. Do not panic.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a plate there to put your
Yeah.
ounce on.
1 ounce. About
About an ounce of cheese.
Am I right to cut and then cut?
You
You've done
no,
myself.
no.
You go on it as you want.
Keep round the outside gets me.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first
You
one.
don't guess that.
Okay, Brady, if you hold that,
Yeah.
ladies. Okay, and we're going to go for another one.
It's a low fat cheese, it doesn't melt very much.
No, it doesn't.
So we're going quite even. That's right. Now,
Yeah.
come on, is there any gentlemen? Come on.
Thank you. No looking at what the others have done.
He's going to
What, this?
Yeah.
off the end,
You
like
can
you
even,
were
you
saying.
know,
if
if
you
you
think
that,
it's
if you
bigger,
think it's
yeah.
bigger, you know.
Oh, I don't know how.
Right.
Oh, come on.
No.
Just remember your job relies on that.
I'll get the staff to do it.
The wrong side.
So,
Cop out.
this is where I get my scales out. Now, I'm just got to pick me plate up to
Yeah.
get it measured correctly, because I do not want to diddle anybody. Okay, there we go. Okay. The gentleman who's done half an ounce.
That's
Now,
what slice it off the end.
half an ounce there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the first lady.
Okay, put the plate down,
Yeah.
Karina. That's it. Let's get that to 0.
Probably going soft.
Looks like a good bit of cheese.
Come on, scales.
That's it.
Okay. 0.8. Okay, there's
Right.
your piece of cheese back. You
You
can
can
eat that.
closer.
0.8. Now, are we going for?
Just give it a rub.
Yeah, she's a volunteer.
You can eat that because you've touched it.
Yeah, the great super
That's almost
great.
an ounce.
Have you got any crackers over there?
No. Got to eat it raw.
Well, it's definitely an extra problem.
0.8. You two ladies exactly the same.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well done.
Now-
Well done.
For a person with PWS, if they're thinking they're going to get an ounce off, they will be very stressed that they're missing those 0.2. But it just shows you, although these two ladies got dead on,
Yeah.
we've all got our own different interpretations of what an ounce would be. So, scales, measuring spoons, measuring jugs, all those pieces of equipment help us to ensure that we remain consistent. Now, I did hear a lady saying about the cheese, how it's more if it's grated.
Yeah.
Yes.
It looks more.
Much more. Now,
Yeah.
we all know we feed with our eyes, don't we?
Yeah.
So, yes, so grating the cheese, spreading it out on a plate makes it look more appealing. Same with a carrot, when you're doing a salad. If you grate the carrot, it's more spread out, looks more appealing, looks more on that person's plate. Now, I just want to talk to you, just mention salads. Now, I do eat salads, but I could not have salads without dressings on it. Yeah? Now, one of my favourite dressings, I'm afraid, it's the old school Heinz salad cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, it's those calories that you have to be aware of that are those extra calories. Now, for 15 grams or 15 mils of salad cream, how many calories would you imagine that is?
35.
35.
70.
44.
Yeah.
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 But when you look at what 15 mils is,
That's immense.
that ain't much, is it?
Yeah.
Now, you know, I get the bottle, I go squidgy, squidgy, squidgy. Is everybody else the same? Yeah. So it's trying to find the more healthier alternatives for dressings, yeah? And I mean, this is the original, yeah? You can get the lights and your extra lights and things as well. But there is dressings out there. This one's fat-free, yeah? And 15 mils of that is 7 calories. You've got, that one's 12 calories. And if you're saving calories on those, you've got the extra calories that you can incorporate into the diet for things like popcorn, sitting watching a film at night, 51 calories for a bag. And then you've got your Snapper Jacks, 62 calories. Yeah. Karina touched on earlier on about things that they sell to us as being healthy, don't they? Yeah, and it's the calories as well in things like that. There's a big thing about smoothies, yeah, and the calories that are in smoothies. Now, this is one of the more popular ranges, innocent strawberry smoothie, 138 calories in that.
See, I'd rather have food,
Yeah.
you know, and I think our guys would as well. So why waste 130 calories on that when they could have 2 apples, an apple and a banana, you know?
Packet of popcorn and a Snacker Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one here, that worked out at 182.
182 calories,
Yeah.
you know. So again, it's being sold as this is healthy, this is good for you. Yeah, but when you're counting calories, it's not good for you at all. It's wasted calories.
Another alternative, if you're out and about and you know, perhaps you've forgot something that's, you know, you're going out on an excursion with a family member or, you know, one of your people you support, and you haven't took any fruit with you. These are handy. You can grab them in the supermarkets. 59 calories on that. Yeah. And then lastly, for me anyway, oh no, we've got breakfast cereals as well, but Karina loves these.
Then these breakfast cereals are my bugbear, yeah? That is not a breakfast cereal. That is a box of sweets, yeah? Now, our guys, they see cereals, they have them cereals for breakfast, they think they're healthy. Can we have these, Karina? No, unfortunately, these are not cereal, they're a box of sweets, okay? So just be very careful about things. They're quite obvious, they've got chocolate in them, haven't they? But there's some cereals out there that they all look like they're healthy on the front, but have a good look at what's in the background of them.
It's for the mueslis, some of the
Yes.
cluster
Granola.
cereals,
Yeah.
granola.
Yeah.
Granola, wow,
Yeah.
you know, and again, the sugar in all those things is just, it's too dramatic and that. So again, we just like our basic cereals that we use. More brown the better.
And lastly from me for the time being is the Volvic Water. Now, I had a lady come back, she'd been on a home visit, she came back with a bottle of this. And I know about these Volvic because I've been caught out myself. And I bought this bottle of water thinking, grabbed it off the shelf, think, this bottle of water, Volvic. I'm sitting in the car and I'm looking at it and thinking, oh my God, the calories in that. Yeah. In that bottle of water, 86 calories.
For water.
For water.
With a bit of flavouring in it.
And
Yeah.
it really is a little bit of flavour.
It is a little
It
bit
is.
of flavouring, yeah.
Yeah. The Volvic have brought out the lower ones now.
Yeah, the
the
sugar-free,
blue
yeah.
blue tops.
Yeah, no added sugar.
But be very careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we've got to think for them. Yeah. We've got to be able to say, sorry, no, that's not, let's go to the blue top,
Yeah.
you know. But, yeah, it's all
Again,
about...
I would rather have a bag of that popcorn or a couple of Snacker Jacks than that bottle of water for those amount of calories. And that, and you know, we have to be careful because some of our people are diabetic as well, you know, mostly obesity related, but it's the classic, when you're looking for food or drinks and that for them, avoid the no added sugar. Again, like it says, it's got sugar in it, but they haven't added any more. But that sugar could still be very high. You've got to go for the no sugar.
Sugar-free.
Sugar-free,
Yeah.
no sugar products and that for them. So it's all about advertising how they try and, you know, sell us all this crap food really that we shouldn't be having. Okay. Any questions at this stage? Because we want people to be able to say, you know, well, we're having a problem with this. You know, we might be able to help each other a bit. So has anybody got any sort of real concerns around food, providing food and portions and things like that? Do you all seem to be managing okay? Yeah?
Anything we've discussed that do you want to talk about, or?
You've shocked me with the water.
Yeah.
It is a shock, it is a shock. And the thing that we find as well, I mean, I don't know about you guys with your, but some of our guys will not drink plain water.
Yeah, no, they won't.
No, they will not drink plain water. They'll drink it if you put a bit of squash in it or something like that, yeah, but they don't like plain water. Sometimes they know that they have to drink water to keep their fluids up and things like that. And they may use it as a bit of a manipulation, you know, sort of like, well, I know, you know, it's hot today, I know I've got to drink water and that, but I don't want just plain water. I'll drink it if you put something in it, okay? What we do is we have a big jug of water in our kitchens and that in our fridge, and we chop up limes, we chop up lemons and that put in it. We chop up other bits of fruit, a bit of, you know, we have cucumber and mint, things like that. Put it in with the water, soak it through. Then that, when you give them the water, this is your special water, yeah? We make this specially for you, okay? So it makes them feel as though it's a bit more. There is ways to get around it. If it's a little bit tart, you know, if you're using lime, because I took a drink of one the other day and it nearly blew my head off, it was so tart. Little bit of, put a sprinkling of sweetener in it just to take that edge off, yeah? So again, it's just being creative with all these things.
And I think Karina touched on it a bit earlier about the low sugar, no added sugar and all of that. It's the labelling, it's the words they use. Low fat. Well, it might not be low fat. If you look at the actual label on the back, it's not low fat. Yeah. You know.
But how are they allowed to get away with that?
Well, again, it all depends around regulations and that food companies have. They have to state certain things. But if they say something is low fat, and that they can use the term low fat if they've reduced it by 1%. Yeah. That's all they need to reduce it by, 1%, and then they can call it low fat. But as I always say, if it's low fat, it's high sugar. It's got to be. Else that product will be like crumbs. Yeah. Okay.
Just to add something, was anybody in the talk with Jennifer Miller yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, that, and she had a very good strategy at meal times.
All right,
for getting, kids to take water was to measure out, say, an ounce of water, a small amount, and say, right, you can have your first course when you've eaten that.
Right.
You can have your next
Okay.
when you've drunk another ounce, and it's gradually sort of building.
And I think, I think that's perfectly fine for families. But obviously we have restrictions as support workers, and that we would be denying them their human rights. So we have to be a little bit more careful, and that obviously about putting those restrictions in. But as a family, you know, it might be that, you know, you can instill that into your children for when they grow up and that. But we wouldn't, obviously we can't withhold anything like that. But no, it's a good point.
How do you find it with dolls in regards to
it has
dolls
to
granted?
it has to be. Anything with a deprivation of liberty, you have to try the least restrictive angle first. Yeah,
but do you get them signed off?
Do you get them signed off that way?
We can do, yeah. And we've got some people that are on a court protection order.
A lot of ours, they come back and say they've got cognition. You know,
They've got
We were just talking
capacity.
about this
Yeah.
outside.
You know,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
able to, you know, so we have to do like a contract, basically,
Yeah.
you know,
Right,
like a
yeah.
house contract, you
Yes.
know, that this is in place, you know, to alleviate your anxieties
Yeah.
and, you know, things like that. But yeah, it is hard
It's very
because
difficult.
they have got that where they can say, well, I want to go in that
Yeah.
kitchen.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think it depends as well on the social workers
Yeah,
or
definitely.
who come to see you, because some people understand
Mm.
that the person has got this condition.
I
Yeah.
think it's more CQC.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it can be, and I think as well, you know, we tend to use a lot of case histories. You know, for example, I'm aware of a lady who had mental capacity assessment done on her, that she could manage her own food, she could manage her own finance, she could manage her own medication. She was type 1 diabetic, and she could manage her own independence, level of independence. She was granted all those because she was deemed to have capacity. Within 6 months, she was dead. Because that's what happens. She didn't take her medication.
Yeah.
She spent all her money on food. She was hospitalised, and it was the end of the road for her. We need to make social workers and
Yeah.
MCA assessors and deprivation of liberties assessors, we need to make them aware, because they don't know about Prader-Willi
So
syndrome.
it's fluctuating. isn't
Yeah,
It's
it
fluctuating
is,
as
it
to-
is, yeah,
They may
yeah.
have capacity in everyday life, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, the general things, but you put a plate of food on the table in front of them, it will
Exactly,
fluctuate, you
yeah,
know, so.
yeah, yeah. What were you?
I was just going to ask the initials of the person you just mentioned. Was it KD by any chance?
No,
No.
but I am aware of that
Yeah,
scenario
I've-
as well,
I've-
because
there's a
that
case through
that
that.
was a residential, that was a supported living on her own.
Yeah.
She had her own PA,
Yeah.
personal allowance,
Yeah.
and again, it just completely broke down. And yeah, there was. I remember the court case about that,
Yeah.
and I remember the social worker had to
I
stand in
I
the
used
dock.
to support her
Oh, did
for
you?
several years, yeah.
Yeah.
When she left us,
That's when it
about 2 years
happened.
after
Yeah,
she left us,
yeah.
and she was in support.
You know, we need to be able to say, and this has to be individualised, because they are all very different. It has to be individualised, you know, but we need to say to people that are providing support for them around these things, we understand this person, we know that this person will eat inappropriately if they are left unmanaged, and we need to use case histories, and we need to use people like Dr. Tony Holland.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's done a big thing on mental capacity around people with PWS. Use him. You know, stick that information under a social worker's nose. Stick those case studies under a social worker's nose. Do you want to be standing up in court and defending why you felt that this person with PWS would be? Sorry,
If I've got
Lisa, sorry.
Can I just ask the question,
Yeah.
portion management?
Yes, darling, yeah.
That's obviously going to be dependent on a person's size, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's maintaining or losing weight.
Yeah,
What would you say an average would be just to maintain?
yeah. We're just going to go on to daily calorie intake
Okay, I
bit,
didn't know if
yeah.
we were going to talk specifically.
Yeah,
Because
no.
my daughter's got a dietitian's letter that went to a residential
Oh, dear.
respite home,
Yeah.
850.
Wow,
A
that
day.
was.
Was her,
Yeah, you don't,
Yeah.
to
Now,
maintain that was.
there's an issue with dietitians, yeah, and well, I'll just
I mean, I
move on
must
to
say,
the
I
next
don't give her
slide.
850 at home and she's maintaining. It's higher. But I just don't know what I'd have done if I'd put one at 850.
850. That's possibly 1.5 meals a day. It's not enough. It's not enough.
Can I just
Yeah.
say about the bit about capacity and that as well?
Yeah.
Just with your supported individuals, or you know, if it was family as well and you were having to argue the case, keep examples from that individual. Yeah. So if whilst out with their parents they access some food, have that evidence ready, because that is pertaining to that individual. It's not just a case history, it is for that person. You can say they cannot cope.
Yeah.
The problem that we have is that they'll phone up on a Saturday or Sunday when the manager's not around and go, oh, we're going to be out in an hour, are they in? You know, and then they'll come out and you don't get that fair
Oh,
chance
right, yeah,
to put
yeah,
that across.
yeah,
You know, and then
that's
they've
it.
done their assessment.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd rather you just
Yeah.
wait, you know, rather than book a time.
That's it.
They just phone up and go,
But
oh,
I
the doctor's in
think-
your area,
yeah,
they're coming out.
yeah.
You know.
But I think it's fair, yeah, and I hope you all agree with me, that whenever we have an MCA assessor come in or a DOLS or anything like that, I want to know their awareness of PWS before they see my person.
Yeah, which I should.
Because if they don't have an understanding, they do not know what they're dealing with, and that's why we have situations like KD and my other person.
My young lady's come to me the other day and she said she had her assessment and she said, oh, I really hope that I'll pass it. And I answered enough questions. And I said, why is that? She said, because then I'll be able to do what I want.
Yeah.
You know, and it is.
For some individuals, you need to spend a substantial amount of time with them to truly get a reflection of their capacity.
Definitely.
And unfortunately, most assessors, like you say, pop in for 45 minutes on a Saturday if you're lucky, gone out, and then all of a sudden, and because they're known to manipulate the situation because they know what the end result could be.
That's very articulate.
Definitely. And when and we were saying when they've been in being support for a long time, they sort of know the cue words, the buzzwords to use to convince another person, because their ultimate goal is, I won't have that restriction put on me, so therefore I need to pass this test to get that lifted.
And if in their mind they believe they can manage.
Deprivation.
Like with my aunt who has dementia, which is a different case. If they ask the questions about your hair, she goes, oh yeah, I go to the hairdresser every week. I'm like, you haven't been to the hairdresser for weeks and years, you know, but in her head, she thinks that's what's happening, and she can cope.
And they do, they can talk the talk, they can walk the walk. You know, we've got to remember, that's all they're focused about, all their lives, that's what they think about. And so, yes, they can manipulate. We had a disastrous case of a gentleman who's had an MCA assessment done on him, and they could see no reason why he couldn't go home and live with his mother. And within 11 months, he'd gained 27 stone in weight. He was taken to court, and he had to come and live with us under a court protection order. And that. Now, those are the cases that we need to be bringing forward and telling these people. So I would not be embarrassed by saying to an MCA, I'm sorry, I don't think it's appropriate for you to see my person, because you don't have the understanding of their syndrome. And that should be the case with any professional that works with our guys. Doctors and everything, dietitians especially, and that. So how we figure out daily calorie intake, it needs to be agreed by a dietitian or a GP. Now, that's for our residential services, okay? Because obviously we can't make those assumptions. Our GPs will normally agree with us anyway, because they understand that we have that understanding. So we need to be able to get that signed off. And we work out their calorie intake based on what their BMIs are, okay? So body mass index, are you all aware of that?
Is that just height and weight?
Yes. You can go online, Google it, and get a calculator up,
But
now,
do you think it's correct?
Now, this is what I'm going for.
My daughter's 4'6".
I'm going for it, love.
It said she's got a 35 BMI,
no.
and to get her to 25,
That's
she'd have to be like 6 stone. You know.
The PWS Association have got information on their website about a BMI guide for people with Prader-Willi syndrome. Have you not seen it? Let me make them put it back on again then, because I've got that information for my work and that, because it's really important. Somebody's 4'6", they're going to class them as a child, okay? And they're going to put their calorie intake as a child would be. They're not children, they're adults, their bodies are still forming, so they need to have a proper calorie intake. I mean, we've had dietitians say, 4'6", 600 calories a day. I mean, for goodness sake, you know. So it's important that we figure out their BMI, look at how much they need to lose in weight, and then basically go from there. Encourage exercise, obviously, that must go along with a diet as well. And, you know, if they do have limited mobility and they can't move about much, we must reduce that calorie intake, okay? We go on, and this is for all our sizes and heights and what have you, we start off with 1,200 calories a day. We think that's enough, to keep them, you know, keep their satiety up. One of the things we do is we put things like Snacker Jacks and options, drinks and things like that into their menu, so we can hit that craving, you know. If we don't hit that sweet craving, they're going to be down the shop getting it.
I've got a parent that she totally disagrees
Yes,
with that theory.
Yeah.
She's saying, why are we making them subject to things like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because all of our guys, they're stable, their weights are maintained, brilliant. You know, perfect. They have active, healthy lifestyles. Now I've got that constant battle of why are you, as a Prader-Willi home, making them subject? And I said, well, you know, do you have it? You know, well, now and then. Exactly. You know, it's monitoring it and controlling it. It's not saying that you can't. And I understand, you know, that people want their children to have a healthy life and, you know, meals and things like that. But we do that. But it's like you say, you take that away. They will be down.
They will go and get it from somewhere else. So, definitely.
And I think as long as their weight's balanced, they're adults. Then
it's down to that person rather than the parent, unfortunately.
You make it sound easy.
I know. Oh, trust me, I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. Sorry.
I do the food diary for the dietitian every night.
Yeah.
And I actually made it weaker than it said on the highlights. So it's what, 40. So it's probably a bit less than 40.
Yeah.
I would take that out of diet.
Yeah.
Every night it said highlights.
Yeah.
Like 40 calories, whatever it is.
I
Take that
change
out.
that dietitian.
No.
Yeah.
You don't get a dietitian. I've been waiting for a dietitian for years.
Oh, they're rare, aren't they?
As a baby, when she was a baby.
Yeah.
You know, when you're just newly diagnosed, and maybe she was about 5 at this stage, and we were saying, well, you give us a few ideas. Well, you know, and it wasn't.
They don't understand it, they
No.
See, we got a lovely one. She comes to all these conferences.
Yeah, brilliant.
And so she's well on it, you know, and she will, and she'll also liaise with us on what we think, you know, and work with us rather than against us. So, you know, like if we've got a problem, we'll go to her and she'll say, well, let's look at this.
Yeah.
You
Sorry,
know.
is that double talking? Is that
Little bit,
messing about with your camera thing? Sorry,
So it is hard with, you know, getting that balance.
But how important is it for us to make sure that these professionals know what they're talking about? Because the effects of what they do wrong are disastrous to our guys. We've got people out there dying because of decisions that are being made by people that do not understand PWS. You know, you can.
Clarification. Are you saying that your parent was saying that the person that was being cared for should have more food or less food?
No, just the type of food that we are. So
more
like,
healthier.
So like rather than having a snack, we have a varied. You know, we have a lot of fruit and veg and 100-calorie snacks and things like that. But because her daughter has gone to her and said, "Oh, you know, we have a snacker jack, or we have this, or you know, like they make a healthy cake on a Sunday and split it up into, you know." She's never been in, you know, she's never had cake. Now they're vegans, and you know, and it's their belief of what they should eat and things like that. She's, of course, now she's an adult. She's like, I'm doing what I want.
Exactly, and so
you know,
she should do.
And so she should.
And she has the right.
We obviously have the other side of things from why are you letting her? Why is you as a Prader-Willi home? Are you promoting that? We're not promoting it.
No.
We're promoting a normal, healthy lifestyle.
That's right.
It's not promoting to eat bad.
This isn't a crash diet for 6 months to lose a few stone. This is a lifetime food plan. And if you cut out things, I mean, we have things on our menus, you know, the fun-sized chocolate bars every now and again. You know, can you imagine life without chocolate? I can't. And that, you know, so why put them through that stress as well? They know they're going to have